which had caused our failure, being convinced that self, manifested in various ways, was what has defeated us. We considered it its common manifestations. We'll leave it there.
Well, yeah, this is the linchpin of the Zoom meetings, is this paragraph. And the spirit of why were they presenting the personal inventory as a business inventory? Why would they emphasize the business aspect? Yeah, because obviously alcoholism is an interesting takeover. You feel uniquely different than anyone else that's been taken over by the same thing. It's amazing, really. It comes with a sense of terminal uniqueness that's really quite stubborn against a lot of evidence. And it was only really sitting in the meetings for a while that I could feel that disassociation that had me sort of captured, really. And it was going to those meetings, it got worn out a little. And then I could see uh, that either these people listening for the months I was there, either, how did these people get my thoughts or they're not my thoughts? Yeah. And that was a very important recognition, at least for me, because it brought about a space between me and the thoughts. Because when they're your thoughts, they're right on you. Yes. You're like in an embrace, a spiritless servility embrace with the thoughts when they're seen as yours. Yeah. And when it was seen that they could be alcoholic thoughts and alcoholism, I had gotten a distance from that by the idea of the disease aspect of it. And that was just the beginning. And then I saw, if all these people have my feelings and thoughts and the same reactions to life, they mustn't be mine. Yeah. And and really, the we word means a lot in a lot of ways. Uh, yeah. We suffer from the same illness, let's say, or the same parasitical takeover. And it's and obviously the subjective experience is that you suffer from it, but in fact, the condition is we suffer from it, millions of us. And in the we find a more open access to power than through the I or through the me. And so it was really going into the waiting room at the hospital of life. I recognized that I suffered from the same thing the other people that were in that waiting room was. And it was an incredible revelation. Yeah. Because, there's loneliness. Uh, like shooting drugs was a very lonely event. It's just you and the needle and the drug, really. And even if you're doing it with people, there's not really a community. It's not really like a fraternity or this and that. If you nod out, they're probably going to steal something out of your pocket. Yes, or something like that. Yes, it's not it's just it's like enclosing into yourself more and more. And really, at that point, the touch of God comes from outside. It has to come from something outside to get to you because you've been completely coffinized, so to speak. You're like in a 6'2" cocoon, and really not much is getting in. Yeah, yeah. You're putting a lot of shit in you, but not much is getting in other than that. And like they talk about how all the aspects of suffering and that loneliness, yes, a terminal uniqueness. and the pitiful, incomprehensible demoralization we find ourselves in. And really, the newest one for me is the statement of spiritless servility. I think that captures an extreme example of alcoholism running wild, is that you are obediently listening to that which is leading you to your own destruction, literally. It's amazing, eh? And in that case, we need a divine intervention, but it may look like an AA meeting. Yeah. The divine intervention may look like an AA meeting or a person that you've asked to be your sponsor or something that will intervene or become a wedge between you and you in a sense. Because, yeah, I mean, I see it even now. There's a friend I know, a young guy. I called them, haven't heard back, and that's usually not a good sign. Yeah, when I don't hear back. So, uh, and you meet people, and they've put on another face, but underneath it's still really activated, and you just wow, yeah, yeah. So. This disease is an inch is just is really just an amplification of everyone who has a potential of self-centeredness, yeah. And self-centeredness, when it goes to an extreme, it turns into something called alcoholism, yeah. Because the demand to get relief from it is untenable. You lose any sense of self-will or this or power, and you're just in a spiritless servility state. Uh, I really believe the true condition that I hope we arrive at is not starting ever again. Yes, a day at a time. Because even the littlest hint to the head, it will try to run it for a mile. Yes. But in my experience, when I'm not there's no starting aspect. It's almost as if it really doesn't exist every day. Yeah. When I'm thinking about what I have to confront today, I'm not confronting that huge shadow of alcoholism. Yes. And as like, well, maybe, if I drank some beer and then shot Coke at 4, yeah, no, there's none of that ever shows up. It's incredible. It's incredible, as if something that was the fallback choice, which was getting loaded, has been completely removed. Yeah. And what a fucking relief, because I see a lot of people that it hasn't been that. It's not in that condition. And they're doing the best they can, but many of them, they go under. Yeah. You don't hear from them. You can't, no emails or anything. And then you see them a week or two, hopefully later, and they went out. And yeah. So the inventory process is super important in recovery. We're not talking really about not drinking. That is the requirement. But the 12 steps isn't really about not drinking, it's about recovering, yeah, from this seemingly hopeless state of mind and body. And the more and more I'm involved, the more and more it's distinctly different. Yeah. There's the not drinking aspect, which is very, very important. But then there's the recovery aspect, which is really the meat of the matter. Yes. And this is the first working step. And the working steps are really the meat. Yeah. We have the idea that we're not managerial quality. We've made a decision to turn our will and life over to the care of something greater than self. But really, what sets the ball in motion is the working steps. Yeah. And the first one is an inventory. And it should look like a business inventory. And in a way, knowing it or not, they're capturing that the disease is foreign to us. Yes, that what we think is our inventory is really we're inventorying something else, which is self. Yes. The dilemma is we think it's ours. And because we think it's ours, we don't want to look at it. Yes. Really. This is why when I used to speak, work with people more actively, we would talk about this. Let's just say instead of taking the ownership role of the inventory, so let's say you're the manager of a clothes store, but you're not the owner of the clothes store. I think seeing yourself as the manager gives you more ability to be thorough and fearless. Yes? Because it's you don't have that vested interest that it's your store. You work there. Yeah. And I think this is the view of AA for us. Yeah. That we're going to work under a new employer. We're not the owner of anything, but we have a new employer and it's going to use us if we stay close to it and perform its works well. So looking at the inventory from that view, that like you were the manager, and of course you're not, it was self, but let's just start as you were the manager of a life or a store, and it's gone to seed, yeah? It's fucked up. You got like 800 pair of elephant bell jeans and no one's bought them since 1970. Yeah. So, yeah, all your great ideas really hasn't worked out. And of course, as an owner, you want to distract yourself from that because, like it says in the 12 and 12, who wants to admit complete defeat? What owner wants to admit they're a lousy businessman? Yeah. But the idea of being the manager gives you a leeway that you can't find as the owner. Yeah. So we're going to just look at the manifestations of self in our life. Yeah. Our ownership has been relieved if you understand that sentence that way. Yeah. All right. Now maybe I can be fearless and thorough because, in fact, the inventory really isn't about me. it's it's presented as it's about me, but if you really do it, you're going to see what truly defeated you through its manifestations in the fourth column. When you see your role in things, finally, because the avoidance of seeing your role in things has been the camouflage of what has defeated you. Yes? Your reticence to look at what you did has allowed what it did to stay. Yeah? So it found the greatest place to hide right behind you in a way. So when you finally do see your role in things, you're going to see self's role in things. And your role is going to become less and less important, and self's role is going to become more and more important. And then the new employer is going to have a great importance, yes, because the great employer is going to overrule the old employer, which is self. Yeah. So when you have in a situation in life, you'll see your role in it will be different than it was before. Yeah, because now you are an instrument, you are being used, yes, by this other power. Yeah. So I don't know. I grew up in English in America, New York with an accent, but still English. And I think I didn't fail English comprehension. I comprehend what a word in English usually means. And how can you see it any other way when it says being convinced, which is a condition very important in recovery, which one of the definitions is to believe with certainty. So here's the statement: believing with certainty that self, you're not mentioned at all. Believing with certainty that self manifested in various ways was what has defeated us. How I don't see how you can miss the clarity there. We have become We believe with certainty that something other than us has defeated us by that something other's manifestations in our life. And now we are going to look at some of its common manifestations in our life. And the first one is resentment. Where does it become yours? What, where do they have a giant 30 different pages where it explains they're yours? It doesn't. It describes their selves. Self's manifestations, one of them, resentment. Why are you calling them yours? Oh, it's just the language. Yes, but it's repeated constantly. It's like a trance. Yes? You have a sense of maybe a wild sense of resentment, and then it's hidden by my resentment. Yeah. You could take every letter in that and dissect it and go in. You miss the whole forest from the trees. It's not you. It's not yours. If you're sitting there dissecting a resentment and you're missing that it's not yours, it's pointless in a way. Yes? Because the biggest point is it's not yours. If it's yours, of course, you're going to try to manage and control and use your intellect to know what resentments are completely, and yet you'll still have them, or they'll still have you. Yes? That knowledge doesn't go anywhere. But if you see they're not yours, you're going to lose interest in them. And what's really fueling the life of a resentment is your interest in it. Yeah? How can you conjure up fear without an apparent threat unless there's a huge amount of interest in it? Yeah, you can't do it. You cannot provoke the feeling of a shark being in this room, which is an impossibility other than having faith in the thoughts that are telling you there's a shark in the room. There's no other way fear could be provoked. It can't be provoked by the shark. There isn't a shark. It has to be provoked somewhere around us. And there it is, my. Yeah? My thoughts believe there's a shark in the room. Hence, therefore, I believe there's a shark in the room. Is there a shark in the room? No. But for all intents and purposes, there is, because I'm flipped out. Yes. You're not going to corral resentments. You're not. You're not going to manage them. Yeah. The key is to lose interest in them. How do you do that? You can't. Can it happen? Yes. But you can't do it. Can something greater than you do it? Yes. Why not let it? Yeah. But it's going to be difficult to keep trying to turn something over if you keep calling it yours. All right. Here's the resentment, but my resentment. Yeah. Here's fear, my fear. You see? The ownership opens you to be owned by it. You're owning it, which is fabricated completely, is being used for it to own you. How many people, unless they have an incredible sway over you, are going to really upset you with their thoughts? But your thoughts, wow, can ruin your day. Yes? We are an event of a lot of power, and it's being misdirected in most cases. Self has gotten to the key to the power lock. This opens up the power and it directs it the way it wants. So now, when you're totally okay, you feel like you're not. Yeah. When there's nothing wrong, you feel like there's something wrong. We're living in a magical little place where molehills are made into mountains. And little plans and designs are seen as big plans and designs. Yes? If you don't see this, you're going to go to a lot of spiritual car washes, and that one stain ain't going to get washed off. Yes? And you're going to believe you've done everything you could. And why doesn't that stain? Yes? Because you're missing the exact nature of the wrong, I humbly believe. And it is that it is foreign to you. Yes? It manifests through us, but we're not the manifester. Yeah? It thinks through us, but we're not the thinker. Yeah? It interprets life through us, but man, do you want that interpretation? Do you really want that interpretation to end up being alone and right in a fucking little room with all your rabbit holes and grievances and shit? Jeez. And then what is the thing you want more? You relish in other people's uh unfortunate circumstances. You know what I mean? It's just insane. So, yes. So our troubles we think, no, this one, I don't even believe that. So our troubles we think are of our own making. I do not believe we've made these troubles. I don't. I believe we've been used to make these troubles, but I don't believe we did it. I just don't see it. Yeah. Because we seem to have very similar troubles and incredibly similar reactions to them, even though we may be in Czechoslovakia or we may be in Canada, but we seem to have your nationality gets overridden by alcoholism. Yeah, there's not Italian alcoholics, you know. They're just there's just alcoholics from Italy. Yeah. It's true. Yeah. When you meet an alcoholic from Italy, you don't get much of Italy. You get the alcoholic. So, this is the fourth step, first working step, an inventory, sort of like a business inventory. The three common manifestations we look at resentment, fear, but it's really fear triggered by mental anxiety most of the time, which means a lot of faith in the head. Yeah. What can produce fear through mental anxiety is faith in the head, obviously. Obviously. Some force has to convince you that your eyes are lying to you and that something really bad is going on when it isn't. Yeah. And there must be faith in that. And that's, again, it's in the we agnostic chapter where they really pinpoint the role of faith, which means it has to do with everything. And the faith is going to manifest by the vehicle it's put in. And we are examples of a large amount of faith put into the mental activity. Yeah. The thoughts, the interpretation, the memories. We have been living in a format of redoing, regretting, rethinking, rehashing, regurgitating. Yes, over and over again. The scenery may look different, so we think it's different, but the action's the same. Yeah, over and over, over. In the Course in Miracles, they talk about it as all this is happening really because we see only the past. Yeah. Now we don't see only the past, but the head sees only the past. Yeah. And then the head projects that past it believed it saw, which is made up at this moment, into a future. Yeah. And we listen to it by from the past, and therefore we're believing we'll be listening to it about the future. Yeah. This is the bondage of self. It's driven by faith, literally. And we hopefully have reached a point where we can admit a certain complete defeat and allow something to step in to change this. Yeah, because we can't do it. We're outmatched. Yeah. And this program is that design of living to produce the transfer of faith from the finite self to the infinite. That's what we're engaged with. Yeah. Some of us, that bank transfer has already happened and we're reaping the rewards. Others are going through the paperwork to get them the faith transferred. But I'm telling you, it's going to work inevitably. It always does. Yes? Yeah. And here we are, doing exactly what we're meant to do, which is be available to others and practice these principles in all our affairs. So in this affair of satsang, we're practicing these principles. Are we turning this into a self-help group? No. We're talking about a reliance on a higher power as being the key to the success of our life. That's it. Yes? Doesn't change, doesn't turn into, all right, here's the reins of your life. No, you don't get the keys to the car. No. Yeah. You're in the state of being the driven. And what's happened unbelievably by grace and whatever, fucking the driver got swapped out. Fucking finally. Because that other driver was killing us. Yeah, it was. He had to get removed. He wasn't gonna voluntarily get out of the car. He had to been dragged out of the car. But it has because a higher power showed up. Yes. And that is what we decide to turn our will and life over to the care of. And many of us are living under that decision. Yeah. It works. And I wish you could just tattoo this and it would sink in. Yeah, but we're fighting a parasitical tenacity, and the parasite does not want to let go of the host. Yeah, and it's pulling out all of its little maneuvers. Yeah, and it just wants you to lead you to its idea of surrender, which is fuck it. And then you drink or do something crazy, and there you go. Yeah, yeah. Yeah. If you weren't moved just by being engaged in our community, would be moved to share because of the fragility uh, of how many people drown every day, in a sense, drown in self every day. Yeah. How many people who, it's the last house on the street and and they left and you've never seen them again. What the fuck may have happened to them? Yeah. Yeah. So you wear it loosely, but you embrace it very intimately. But you wear sobriety loosely, but you embrace it very, very intimately, because there but through the grace go I and us. Yes, and we have a responsibility because of the relief we've been given to be available to others in some form or another. Yes, just like obviously. If you were brought to a bus stop in hell and you got on that bus stop and this one actually took you out of hell, I would imagine you would put leaflets around hell saying, hey, go to this bus stop and get the 33, yeah, or whatever, and maybe even sit there to see him get on the bus. What? It just seems natural. Yeah. So, yeah. All right. Well, beautiful thing. It just the exact nature of the wrong is foreign to us. I'm just telling you, I've told you tons of times because it was a defined day. I was just doing being I was in the habit of being sober at this time. I was just living sober and I was had the privilege to lead a fourth step workshop. So I would go over how it works a lot. And that one night I looked at that statement, being convinced self manifested in various ways. I saw self as foreign to me. Yes. Most people think it's an ego or something, but then who is it that has that ego? There's still an ownership there. But I saw self as foreign to me. And I mean it. Something happened, almost like a chute opened and a possibility dropped in, which was I can be free from it. And why I was bound by the idea of being free as it is because of this act of being identified as self. Yeah. So my only possibility was trying to be free as it, and that hadn't worked well. And I didn't see it going to be working well. A lot of management and control and surveillance and shit like that. And at any moment, it could fucking act out. Yeah. So I saw it as foreign to me. The possibility of being free from it became available. And then it gave me a scan of years of my life in like a second. And it showed me, hey, bro, the theme of your life has been self trying to get out of self. This, let me point to both the selves. You called this one you, Paul, but it was self in a fucking sheep's clothing. Yeah. Oblivious to that, you lived a lot of your life trying to get out of it as it. Yeah. The day's fucking over. This thing is foreign to you. You don't need to be free as it. You can be free from it. And this has worked. And it continues to work. It was a little mistake, but it set off the course in a wrong direction. Yeah. And this idea of stubbornly holding resentments as yours and fear as yours is really the bondage of self. So this is what we do. We come here. There's other people that know every sentence in the book, every period, every punctuation. They're incredible. But I didn't hear this. And I definitely never heard it anywhere near this. Yeah. It always got back to us as the problem, we're the, we're the thing manufacturing misery, again, like it just said, uh, we are the root of our own problems. After they say self is what has defeated us, and then go back to the slavery, we're the root of our problems. Yes, we started the ball rolling. No, you're a ball that's always been, you've been rolled already. Yeah, you're already a rolling ball. You're not fucking starting any ball rolling. You're just like something hitting another thing that's been rolling. Yeah. You're not that. And then you did all these things, started all these things. You've been rolling down the fucking road of self for years. And you're in a lot of just whacking into fucking other shit that set other balls rolling. Yes. But you're a ball in itself. You're not the big fucking thing that is there and then starts everything. You're rolling at the same moment. You're thinking you're starting everything else to roll. Jesus. So there is a solution. Hallelujah. That's incredible. Even though in certain people it looks like there isn't, the true faith in this program is there is a solution. And that faith is warranted by your own demonstration. Yeah. Walter, Paul, Chris, Kathy. You're in a state of being sober, not of your own making. Yeah. So yeah, let's open it up because Kathleen or whoever, I forgot who it
Hey,
was.
Yeah,
it,
I don't know if
I
there's
got a
any hands
question
up.
real quick. Not more of a comment. I loved it when you were talking about when you're if there's a bus taking you out of hell, right? And you're like, yeah, maybe you'll even just sit there and help them get on the bus. And I was thinking too, when they get on the bus, say, hey, take that big bag off your head too, and set it down.
Yes.
and everyone goes. That's all I had to say. Not much, but that's what I was thinking. Thank you,
I
Paul.
was thinking we could get to the other side and spread the word about the bus, but not have to stay in hell while we rescue people.
Yes, for sure. Or, hell is of your own making. And it's not your making, but of your head's making. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. But the idea of putting everything down because the bus is there to take you and everything else with it. Yes, this is the dilemma of because we look at baggage and we claim it to be ours. The head does. And then you've got to fucking carry all those baggage, and of course you just try to hide them. Yes? Yeah. The bus will take all the baggage in you also. And then when you arrive, you'll walk out without the baggage. You can leave the baggage behind. The bus will take care of it. That's step 6 and 7, literally. Yeah. What is 6 and 7? It's probably the most worked steps in a certain phase of recovery. There is. Yeah. A lot's being revealed by just living. And a lot of that shit is the old ideas and the old reactions and the old contempts prior to investigation. Yeah. And yet there's gold in there. It may be misshapen, but there's gold, and you can't extract the gold from it, but the higher power will. So you put the stuff in 6 and 7, and some energy gets returned to your life, and you feel more fucking alive. Yes? Yeah. So I haven't been in a big phase of 6 and 7, but there was a period that it was a lot of going on. A lot, a lot. Yeah. But again, phases are phases. There's the basis is different than a phase. When you're in a new basis, you're going to go through different phases, but the basis stays the same, which is reliance on a higher power. You go through phases. Some you're working more, some you're working less. Yeah. Maybe you're working with people more than you're not, and then you're working on a different scale. Yes, just goes on and on. But the basis stays the same, and we are on a new basis. And that basis is relying on the infinite rather than finite self. That's it. That's the basis. Yes? Yeah. And phases occur. So a lot of shit will be revealed, and then nothing will be revealed for a while. It's great. Yeah. You've got to a point where you really have skipped 8 and 9. You're not really it would be too much work to fuck someone over. You're just not motivated, really. You just, I mean, lies just make more lies, heavier, heavier. So basically, if you've gone through 6 and 7, it cuts out the 8 and 9 a lot because I don't have a list and I don't need to make an amends. Yeah, great. That's nice. I like traveling that way. Yeah. Oh, yeah. And on one of the longest phases, the problem will not exist for you anymore. That's a fucking great phase. Really. You cannot believe how intrusive that maybe was, or I might, or yes, it was such an intrusive fucking, it was like a little inch in the door and it was taking miles. Yeah. To me, abstinence is like a state. It's an unusual state. Yeah. You don't think about it. You don't. Yeah. Last night I went into a dream and it was a lottery of cocaine. And I won a huge lottery of cocaine. Yeah. So usually I realize, hey, this is one of my only times I can have fun. I go with the dream, but for some reason, my sobriety stepped up and said, "Fuck that," and I said, "That's an old identity." Yes, it was a trip. So I woke up and. Uh, it didn't lead me to jail or anything else. I just woke up. It was no handcuffs, no incarceration.
Rubber bracelets.
But I saw there's a chunk in the head, that old identity of being an addict. Yes. Yes. And it wanted to sort of have a moment in the dream to refreeze that little ice cube and then make itself a drink. It was funny. Yeah. That's how I woke up. It was cool. Yeah. All right. Oh, no one has anything to say. Wow. It's great.
Yeah, there's no hands up at the moment. If anyone wants to ask a question, just raise your hand.
Well, if not, we can start saying goodbye and stuff. I mean,
Oh, we've got one. We've got Cormac.
oh, Cormac. I don't think I can get to the page Cormac is on. Come on in, Cormac.
Hi,
We're
Paul. How's it going?
good. I can't see you, I don't think, but I
Hang
can.
on. Yeah, I'll stick on the camera there. Yeah, I suppose I'm just wondering, you were talking about that lad that you're friends with who you haven't heard from, and it's usually not a good, not a good sign. And I'm thinking of a friend of mine as well. I suppose I'm thinking about the bus. What about a guy who doesn't believe that the bus is going anywhere useful to them, Have you any thoughts on that?
Well, all you can do is put the hand out, just like you can bring the horse to water. You can't make him drink. So, and then remember, if someone's disinterested in it, go to work with someone else. Yes, life usually will be the greatest convincer.
Yeah,
Will, I swear. I mean, many of us, it was essential the way it worked out to have a bottom. That's just the only way it was going to get through. Yeah. Other people can learn other ways, but sometimes our idea of help may not be helpful, really. This is stuff you learn as you live in the program, that sometimes you're doing a disservice keeping someone from their bottom,
yeah,
because that's the way it's going to work for them, is a bottom. Yeah. Of course, we would like it to be the easier, softer way, but in that case, whatever the way is, the ends justify the means, and the ends is they finally wake up and yeah, get into the state of being sober. Yeah. So
mhm,
yeah, the bus isn't, you're not drafting anybody. You're just there. Yeah. There you go. And if people don't believe it, well, you can see if there's faith in that, right? So the faith in the head says they don't have faith in anything else. Yeah, yeah. Hmm. Yes. So yeah. Usually you can feel someone who has interest, the willingness. I had this for years. I'd go back to in the East Coast and do these events at this rehab place. And I would used to go there twice a year. So I would be there, then I'd go and come back in about 6 months. And I would look at certain people and I could feel like, you know, something was cooking there. And so I kept my eye on them. And then after I went back in 6 months, I would see them and they were still there. And I just knew, they had been sort of touched and they had that oomph, yes. And then I would come back another 6 months and they had graduated and now they were a yoga teacher and all this. And, the girl, when I first met her, she used to pick me up from the airport. She dreamt of going to Thailand. Now she's basically been living in Thailand and all, yes, all this stuff. And you could just see that, yeah, that thing, the grace was there, activated, and it was wonderful. And it would be probably, I could see the difference better because I had those months of not seeing them. I wasn't seeing it every day. And so it was really wild. And then I would go to places where they wanted me to speak, but no one that was in the place wanted to hear me. Yeah. And I would be in there and I would really feel like stopping and saying and walking around and feeling if anyone had a pulse because they truly seemed dead. I mean, really dead. And it flipped me out. And that's not my role to take it personally, but I have in a few times. And that one flipped me out. And I stopped and I said, I'm walking around taking in some people's pulse because you're fucking all dead. You're in sobriety. There is a solution. It was so wild. And then I never got invited back there again. But but I had it. I just like, they were all sitting like this, or just, complete disinterest. And yet they're fucked in a program. Yeah. Eating the food they're told to eat, going to a place they told to go to, yet they were sitting in that little chair as if they were the emperor and the empress. Yeah. It was insane. This disease is insane. Yeah. It really is. I I have met people with like an inverted pride in being fucked. Yes. It's just insane. Like they're really proud of how fucked they are. No, it's insane. So wait, whatever.
Paul, we got Miss Volkman. Let's put a hand up.
Oh, Miss Volkman.
Hello.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was just something coming up regarding this one sage, Nisargadatta, I think it's called Maharaj, in India. Do you know Nisargadatta?
This is a long one, but you got to explain a little who Nisargadatta is for people.
Well, it's a bit like Ramana Maharshi, so many people came to him, and he was a smoker. He also had a tobacco shop, and he still continued to work in the tobacco shop, or others were then working, and he was giving satsang upstairs.
Yeah,
and he was always smoking, no? Yeah, and I think it was cigars. Anyways, I'm not sure if he also smoked cigarettes.
Biddies, cigarettes.
So he died of lung cancer. Yeah.
Yeah.
My question is, because in this case, was it really just, okay, it's just the body, so I don't care anymore? Or is it not rather also still an addiction still playing out until the very end? That I'm questioning a bit.
I think he talked about it as if it was the bodies, and he said, "Hey, throw the body a bone," which was the smoking addiction. Yes, yes, yeah. That's how I heard him. I've heard that's how he took it. Yes, but the action figure has its destiny. Yeah, there was no Nisargadatta. There was Nisargadattering, so to speak, coming through. Yes. So during, the hose is being used by that water of wisdom, but it's also being used by a lot of other stuff. Yeah? And the action figure has its destiny. A certain hose can only be uncrimped for so many years. The crimps went out. Yes.
Yeah.
I had an old hose. It sort of gets turned in on itself. Yes. It didn't have that when it was sort of new. So yeah,
Yeah, I'm just also wondering for myself, when I'm, which I'm not all the time, but when I'm in these periods, moments of peace, there is no longing. There was no longing for cigarettes. Yeah.
Yes.
So this is for me a bit contradictory with, yeah, these live reports from certain stages. And so then if you're in peace, of course, the cigarette or the drink is here to give us relief, from that what we are not actually. And if I'm in peace, then I am what I am. And this is why I'm wondering why you keep going on smoking cigarettes. I mean, then you could also say I keep on going drinking alcohol because it doesn't affect me or whatever, because I'm in peace now.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah, again, though, but everything is a subjective event. So to him, he may had peace even though he was smoking cigarettes too. Yeah,
Okay, good.
there's characters. Yeah, there's yeah, yeah, yeah. But again, there are certain things that you may need to do that others may not need to do. Yeah, in your little book of requirements. So there was a guy, a Trungpa Rinpoche, who had loved the alcohol, Tibetan guy, had a high level position, so to speak. He was a Trungpa, uh, a lama, and he was alcoholic, obviously. His body has alcoholism and his brain, and he wanted to have a drink on his dying bed and stuff. So, yes, it's a very strange event we're in. Yeah, yeah. So remember what we started with today. Don't know. I don't know. Yeah. But a lot of stuff, let's say I was moved when I was young by these books by the guy named Carlos Castaneda. It was about this shaman in the Yucatan in Mexico, and they were just inspired me to believe there was more than what I was seeing in Long Island living and in the head. And it was very inspiring to me. And then a lot of people went a lot out of their ways to make him a counterfeit, though I know a guy who was with him. And so, but it didn't matter if he was anywhere close to what he was presenting himself to be or not. What I got came through him. It wasn't from him. Yeah. He was just a vehicle, just like we all are. Yeah. Yeah. So you read, that there's a famous book, I Am That, by this guy, Nisargadatta. I'm getting into something here, but this guy, Nisargadatta Maharaj, it wasn't by him, but people recorded talks and then wrote it. And it's one of the Bibles of non-duality. People love it. And he didn't like it. Nisargadatta Maharaj. He felt it was a misinterpretation of the teachings. He did. Yeah. When I was there as translator, Ramesh told us about it, and I was like, "What?" Because it's like a Bible. So then he's saying the guy it was about was disowning it itself. So this place is just a strange, strange place. You're not getting this from Paul Hederman or anyone, or from Kerry or Jess or anyone. There's a we going on that's not separated and parsed out into separate, independent things, and that we is expressing itself through our group conscience. Yeah, yeah. That's why you can never convict the messenger for the message, because the messenger really doesn't have anything really to do with it other than a hose. The water to get somewhere needs the hose. That's basically the only reason. Yeah, that the hose has that value. So Yeah. There you go. Okay, I guess we'll end, eh? We're going to be here again today at 1:30. Oh, no, 4:30 Pacific time. Wow, it was a lovely reading. Thank you. And yeah, let's start saying goodbye. Miss Folkman, yes. Yeah. Vladik, nice to see you, Vlad, as always. Matthew, sober today? How many? 1,000 days. Fantastic. 1,000 days. Fantastic, bro. Yes. Yeah. John B. in the UK. Oh, John was our host today. Nice job, John.
No worries, anytime.
Miss
Anytime.
John S. in Florida, as always. Mr. Cruz. Yeah. Chris B. Nice to see you. Saraswati. I think Saraswati is in India as we speaking right now. Stephen Mack, as always. Joseph, our friend in France. Nice to see you, Joseph. Yeah. Matt. Nice to see you. Walter, as always. Rick Rowe, Toronto. He's back in Toronto. Vancouver, Toronto, Vancouver. Chris Blake. Nice to see you, Chris. We got Kerry. Nice to see you. Are you still up in the mountain there? Chris?
I'm up in the volcano, Paul.
No, that's Kerry. I was talking Chris. I jumped to you.
I thought you said Carrie, brah.
First, Chris, he's in the mountains down there. Southern Cal, whatever. Kerry, yes, you're near the volcano. It's all right. It's simmering.
It's cooking.
Oh, it is. David, nice to see you. Jess in Ireland, always a pleasure, Jess. And thank you for all the service and everyone else. That's Al B in Vegas. Yeah. Al, I've known you've already saw a bridge that you could buy many, many times. Yeah. Yeah. Mr. Lebowski. Nice to see you, James. Matt, another Matt, I said already. Kathy in Cleveland. Roman, my friend in Germany. We'll get together sooner or later, guys. Yeah, we're gonna come back. We're gonna go to Italy, I hope. If everything works itself out. Okay, thank you, everyone. See you. Chris B, I missed you there. Thank you.
Is Kathleen still here?
Thanks, Paul. No, I think she had to leave.
Ah,
Maybe
because
I'll post.
I just
Good job,
saw.
John. Thank you for your love and service, boss.
Yes, thank you, John. That was
Yes, sorry. Thank you.
great. Very good meeting.
Hi, Jess.
Hey Rick, how are you? Rico, how are you?
You can call me anything. Just don't call me too late.
My dad.
I, on the other hand, are a little more specific.
Maybe see y'all later, huh?
Lebowski,
Good to see you,
my man.
James.
Perhaps.
Love you
Thanks
guys.
all.
If not later in the week, but maybe tonight. So see y'all.
Take care, Lebowski. Good to see you, Kathy.
Good to see you, brother.
Kathy?
Mr. Cruz, I'm going to give you a call.
All right.
Just a quick one.
All right. You got it. See you in a minute. Take care, John.
Good day, Rico.
Pokemon.
Hi. Kathy is already gone too. Okay. Well, no, then I have the WhatsApp. Yeah. It's okay. Because I received a message, I didn't see it because I asked a question.
Gotta go. There's Rick. Got you.
Kathleen.
Hold
I
on a
just
second.
saw the
I gotta
message.
say hello to Kathleen. Hi, Kathleen. Bye, Kathleen.